We're joined now by U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal, a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. He's calling on Congress to pass a resolution supporting Israel with that military aid. So thanks so much for joining us. So this week we learned that Israel has agreed for these 4-hour humanitarian pauses, daily humanitarian pauses. What we're seeing, though, today from journalists on the ground, especially in Gaza City, is that there's been strikes near some of Gaza's largest hospital. When these pauses happen, what will they look like, and how will they differ from a ceasefire?
There was a pause just today for about 6 hours. Israel has committed to 4-hour pauses every day. And what they will enable is more food, fuel, water to reach the people of Gaza through corridors that are established under UN supervision, as well as the participation of Israelis and Egyptians, and also corridors so that people can move from the most concentrated battle zones to places of greater safety. And maybe most important, they will encourage negotiations to release the hostages, which ought to be a priority for Israel as it is for the United States. And the pauses generally are humanitarian. I supported them. The president advocated for them. Now the Israelis are going forward with them. They are not a ceasefire. Israel is defending itself against a terrorist organization. We declared it a terrorist organization that has as its single goal the destruction of Israel and the extermination of the Jewish people. And so this humanitarian effort is to really minimize and reduce civilian casualties, as Israel must do. They must reduce the number of civilian casualties, as they are trying to do.
You did mention the hostages briefly. I know that you traveled to Israel after October 7th and spoke with some of those hostages' family members. Where do we stand right now with getting those hostages, specifically the American hostages? Where do we stand right now with getting them back home?
Let me just say, my meeting with those hostage families was one of the most heartbreaking, gut-wrenching experiences of my lifetime. These are the moms and dads, the relatives, loved ones, friends of people who were kidnapped brutally, hideously from their homes, watching other members of their family slaughtered savagely. And now they are scattered around Gaza. That's the latest reporting that we have. And the negotiations are ongoing with the head of our intelligence service, Bill Burns, in the Middle East, traveling with the Israeli head of intelligence to Qatar, to other places where negotiations can take place with Hamas, because that's where some of the leaders are. My resolution would essentially say to Iran, don't open a second front through your proxy Hezbollah. Iran is the malign linchpin here to the hostages, to Hezbollah, and to Hamas, because Iran's green light, as well as their supplying and equipping and financing both Hamas and Hezbollah, enabled them to launch this attack.
Now, we've seen a lot of your constituents, especially yesterday we saw that there were pro-Palestinian rallies outside Colt Manufacturing, have been calling for a ceasefire. What do you say to those constituents that are contacting your office and saying this needs to stop?
First of all, I respect their right to protest under the First Amendment, and I am listening closely. The main part of my job, in many respects, is to listen to my constituents. A ceasefire right now, for Israel, I'm not sure how Israel does a ceasefire with a terrorist organization that has as its only goal to destroy Israel and annihilate the Jewish people, and whose leader said just last week, Israel can expect a second, a third, a fourth. That's a quote, a second, a third, and a fourth, quote, like what happened on October 7th. So a ceasefire simply enables Hamas to regroup, rearm, and repeat what it did on October 7th. But pauses are humanitarian in their purpose, and that's what Israel is doing. And I have urged, in my trip to Israel, I sat right across from Prime Minister Netanyahu and the War Cabinet, and we all urged, 10 of us, bipartisan, 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats, that civilian casualties be reduced. It has to be a priority, and the Israelis are very sensitive to this point.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. I mean, we could talk extensively about this, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Brent.